Hello everybody, how's it going? Name's Leo, aka Knockdef, and once again I'm bringing you guys a tutorial. So today I'm going to teach you guys how I made the bulk of this VFX right here. So this is a rainbow kind of VFX that I made a couple days ago, and the idea for this one was to make a very kind of like rainbow and light refraction themed VFX. And yeah, and when I was sharing this around with my friends, many people were asking me how I made the texture. Because this VFX, like, it's very, very simple to make. It's deceptively simple. Because all of this VFX really is, and I'm going to show you guys here, is this, right? So if you guys can see here, it's a screen space rainbow texture, and then the actual shape and the movement of this texture. The video went back a little bit, but the actual movement and shape is driven by a dissolve effect, right? So everybody kind of knows how to make dissolve effects, but not everybody knows how to make the rainbow texture. So this is what I'm going to teach you guys today, and this is going to cover a lot of principles that is going to teach not only rainbow textures, but also VFX silky looking textures in general. So it's very useful knowledge if you're starting out. And even if you're, a medium level VFX artist, some people don't know this, right? And it's very good. So full disclosure, we're going to be using Photoshop here. So if you use something like Substance Designer or whatever, it's going to be a different workflow. So let me just go over a little bit the settings that I like to use here in Photoshop. So I have some actions that have some scripts. I have my navigator, and I personally like always having the navigator because as a rule of thumb, you're always going to be working like here. It's going to be a higher resolution than down there. So it's very good for you to like do your art in higher resolution, but also see your art down there, how it is going to look. So let's kick things off. So yeah, let's just start it. So the first thing we're gonna do here is I'm gonna show off a very cool setting. So let me make some random shapes here just so we can see this. All right, and now you're gonna press Control F, right? And then you're gonna search in here for pattern preview, and you guys are gonna click on that, and you'll see that now we have a bunch of copies of our art. And if we do something like this, you guys can see that it mirrors. So this is a really cool way of making tiling noises in VFX and tiling art in general. Not everybody knows about this. So this is the first tip. I am using a drawing tablet, but we're not going to use drawing tablets too much. You can totally achieve this with a mouse. So the first thing we're going to do here is that I use the Discover feature a lot. So I don't know the path for most of these things because I always search them. So we're going to go for, we're going to generate noises here. For that, we're going to go for a cloud noise. So we can do filter and render, and then we can make clouds. So here we have a cloud. For whatever reason, it's red. I'm not sure why the red channel is so full, but here we have our clouds, right? So let's take the one for the blue channel and let us slap that in. All right, cool. We have a tiling noise of a cloud. And the first thing we're going to go here is for a very silky noise. And here's the first tip. What I like to use is minimum and maximum. So those are very good filters, and they are the bread and butter of VFX when it comes to VFX noises, because they get very silky, hand-painted looking noises. So let's search for minimum, and what minimum does is that it gets the points, the ones and the zeros, and it is going to preserve the darkness and essentially make the dark spots cut away from the lights and make the lights darker. So as you guys can see here, as I increase this, the darkness amount takes over. And here we have two types of preserve modes. So are you preserving the round shapes or the square shapes? And you guys can see here that the difference is very strong here. I personally gonna go for roundness here. So let's go for something like, this. I think this looks okay. So I don't really have anything in mind here. I'm just gonna, go ham and experiment, play around a little bit. So let's go for the other noise and let's apply maximum so you guys can understand what maximum does. So maximum does the same thing but the opposite. So it's going to keep the light tones of your noise. So let's go for something like this maybe. I like this. Look at this. This is a very cloudy looking noise. I like this. I like this a lot. All right, cool. So now we have those two noises. And of course, we can blend them together to get very cool results. And all of this is going to tile. So we can do something like this. We can do, look at that. Just going from different, ooh, this one's kind of cool. It's kind of like a, kind of looks like a microscope picture. But let's go for something like this. I don't want to spend too much time on this because this is not really the meat of the VFX, right? But then you can also play around with these. So one idea would be to go for your mixer brushes and kind of mix them around. I always like to work in small strokes here. So let's go for something like this, maybe. Yeah, we can kind of do like, just little things to our noise. Of course, here I'm not really doing anything because once again, this is not really the goal of this VFX, of this tutorial. But let's do a little something. I want to make this streakier. So what I'm gonna do here is that I will do this to essentially make it very stretched. I think it's going to look very cool. And now we need to blend those two parts here. So the way we can blend this is by either, overwriting the painting, or we can, of course, get a blend tool like this one. Oops. This is not, okay, this is not supported. My bad. Sorry, folks. Sorry, folks. Let's get a brush then. Not this type of brush. A smudge brush probably won't work. Yeah. Let's get oil painting works. All right, oil painting works. All right, so let's get this and decrease the opacity, and now we can blend those two in here a little bit nicely. So I think 15% is way too, not too much here. Probably go for 32. That's probably going to look nice. And the thing here is that this is like the newest technique, but this technique is best employed when you also slap in some of the old methods. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go Control F and we're going to search for offset. And I know that this texture is 1024 by 1024. So what I can do here is go 1024 divided by 2, right? Which is going to be 512. And, oops, sorry. And I can also get like 512 in here. And now, when I finish this, you guys can see that we have a cross section here. And we can blend this here towards the middle. So what we can do, for instance, is get our smudge tool from before, and now this is not going to work like on the edges, but it's going to work for this blending right here, right? So this is a very poor job that I'm doing, and of course you would take better care of your textures if you were doing these textures for real. But these things, they take time, and I don't want to waste too much time in here. I do like, yeah, round brushes look much better, man. Let's decrease the strength a little bit, and now let's finish up this blending here. We're going to do a very sloppy job here, but as I said before, this is not really the goal of this tutorial. But what comes right after this is the goal, so don't tune out quite yet. Do not worry. we will get to the good stuff. But if you didn't know how textures, very silky textures were made before, well, now you do, right? So let's do 512 by 512 again. And now let's see here. Is this looping nicely? No, it is not, because the top part is not looping at all. Oh, I know what's happening, guys. Oh, my bad. I'm so sorry. You need to select the whole square and do a control cut. This way you create a copy, and this copy is not going to be, you know, it's not going to be essentially the old one, the old image was bigger than the boundaries. So when we were offsetting it vertically, we weren't really offsetting it vertically, as you guys can see. I apologize about that. But well, I'm not gonna re-record this. So let's blend it up again. All right, once again, I'm doing a kind of a sloppy job here, but you know, it is what it is. We need to get this done kind of fast. Maybe I should have taken my noise, right? Maybe I should have brought up already finished noise here. But hey, if you didn't know how those noises were made before, now you do. And the thing is, you can layer these guys together quite a lot. And this is part of the power, right? So just for a second, let's take a look here. I have here on my images folder, I have this, which is a snapshot of the video. So let's analyze it a little bit, right? So let's bring that over to Photoshop. And you guys can see here that this texture has got some different things about it, right? Oops. Let's get the strength up. Let's make it red. Why is this not working? Oh, God. Oh, I'm on the smudge tool. I apologize. So if we look in here, let's make the size very much smaller. All right, cool. Smaller still. Wait, I can do this, right? Yeah, much better. All right, cool. So if you guys can see here, these shapes, they kind of have some swirls, right? But this noise has swirls in a lot of different directions, right? Look at this. This one is a swirly guy. So this is kind of like the trick for this noise. As you guys can see here, it is very curvy. So this is what you would do in a noise like this one, right? So it has a lot of curves, and the texture that I use to cut away, to erode, also reinforces those curves, as you guys can see here. Also reinforces those curves. So since those curves are reinforced, you feel like it's much more curvy and much more complex than it actually is. But the noise, although it is complex, the movement itself, it's not very complex. The movement that the noise does is not very complex. So we want to add a little bit of this noise in here. So we're going to duplicate this layer because I want to have a backup in case I do some poo-poo job. And we're going to search for swirl. Liquify, sorry. We're going to use liquify here. So it's going to show that warning once again. And now here we have it. And as you guys can see here, look at this. When I mess around with it, it creates those swirly things, right? That's very cool. So now let's increase the size of our brush. That's way too big. Let's go 800. Nah. Yes, something like this. So I want it also to be less strong. Yes, I like this. All right, cool. So we're going to add here some smudges. As you guys can see here, we're going to reinforce our curves here on this noise. Oops, I don't want any, I don't want any, kind of looks woody, doesn't it? Kind of like a piece of wood, very marbly looking wood. So I'm scared to create those transparent parts. So we're gonna take care to not do that too much. And of course, as I said before, I need to do this kind of fast because this tutorial can't go on forever. So we're not gonna do the best job that we could possibly do, right? And now that we have this, we're going to duplicate it again for backup purposes. And we're going to tile this once again. So we do, once again, offset. And now, as you guys can see, this time around it worked flawlessly. So we're going to go to our smudge tool here. And I want to disable the pattern preview. Well, actually, no, I'm just going to... Yeah, it's not giving me the warning, so that's cool. All right, so let's get our soft brush once again. We want to make it less strong, like 41-ish%. And now let's go into here and let's really dig in at this thing here. So we want to kind of blend it. And remember, we want to reinforce those curves. And when you're working in grayscale, what generates curves is really the change, because you don't really have a shape, right? You have light values, you have color. So when you manipulate the color, when you move the color about, this is your curve, right? So we can make those curves kind of interconnect and curve into themselves, you know. So let's go in here, create this kind of crevice going into this one. This guy this is a very prominent white, so we do want, in my opinion, to cut deeper into this part. After all, the transition needs to be kind of natural, right? And if you have a very intense white, I think it only makes sense that the intense white is going to cut away very deeply into the darker tones and then slowly fade away. Look at this. This is very cool. We're generating a lot of artifacts here, so if we were to really like zoom into this image, you guys would realize that there's a lot of other tones that are not purely black and white. Do not worry about that. We're going to fix that. Ooh, I like this. This shape right here, I like this shape. All right, these ones are going to be a bit harder to blend. I think we can, oops, I went too hard there on the swirls. I think we can go for one positive swirl with like one whitish swirl and then one darker one overcoming here. I want to introduce a bit of gray. All right, this is looking pretty damn cool here. All right, so as you guys can see here, take a look at the navigator preview. We can see that this is looking pretty cool. I don't like this guy actually because I think he is too strong. I think he needs to be less divisive because it's dividing the colors too fast, in my opinion. All right, this is looking good. Let's do one more offset to make sure that everything is looping around nicely. And as you guys can see, we're not looping around nicely. This guy is looking kind of weird. So let's fix it. Very cool. This guy looks weird a little bit, so let's fix it again. Here, this looks absolutely treacherous. So here what we can do actually is offset once again, but instead of using 512, we can offset vertically by like 100, right? Maybe 200 is fine. And now what's going to happen is that our edge here is going to be somewhere else. Let's see where our edge is. I can't even find it. Oh, here we go. I found it. So you can see here that this is the line of intersection. So we can really blur it out and make sure that it's very nice and tidy. So here, all right, very cool. All right, guys. Usually I would do one more or two more rounds of this, but I think this is styling nicely enough for the tutorial purposes. So now, here's the trick. Here's the rainbow part, right? The part that you guys are probably looking for. So let's go for a bit of theory first. So, oops, I almost deleted it. let's go for a bit of theory here. So images, they're composed of layers, kind of like a sandwich, right? So to get a full picture, you need to combine the red shades into the blue shades into the green shades. This is kind of how it works. So let me demonstrate that. So let's go in here, and you guys can see here that we have H, S, B. Those things are like patterns of how you can pick your color, right? So this is the hex one, which is the most famous, which generates this code right here. So you guys can see that we have red, green, and blue. So what is that? What is red, green, and blue? So those are the channels of the sandwich that I spoke of. So if I want something that is pure, 100% red, I go 255, which is the maximum amount of redness that you can get. So it's the brightest and most saturated red color one could possibly get digitally. It's this one. So we're gonna, well, there's HDR, but let's not get into that. So we're gonna go into here, and we're gonna go into our brush here, and I want to take, I want to take my drawing brush, and I want to take the hard pressure one, and let's make an R here. So this is the red channel. Now, let's also go once again into our color editor, and let's get the greenest green you can possibly get. So the greenest green is 255 green, 0 red, 0 blue. So now we have the purest form of green. Let's write G here. Come on. There we go, G. So finally, we're going to do the same for the blue color. So we're going to get this, and we're going to put blue. All right, very cool. So what happens is the way the image is encoded is that, let me get a pink color here to write the explanation. The way that color is encoded is that an image is composed of a range that goes from 0 to 1 on the red channel, from 0 to 1 on the green channel, and from 0 to 1 on the blue channel. Oops, my brain took a nap there. So from 0 to 1 on the blue channel. So this means that if you combine all of those things here, we should get pure white, right? Because the white is the combination of red, green, and blue to its maximum value. So to prove that, we can go here into the channels inside of Photoshop. We can go into the channels, and if I go into the red channel, you guys are going to notice that the G is completely black because it has 0 red information. The blue is completely black because it has 0 red information. The white is white, and our red is fully white because it is 100% white. So the only white parts of this texture correspond to the red channel. The same goes for the green, the same goes for the blue. Since pink is a combination of red and blue, our pink lines also look white-ish, but it's probably not pure white. Nice. So now we have this. Actually, this pink, I think, this very saturated pink is pure red with pure white, so it's probably with pure blue, so it's probably pure white. But that's not the point. The point is that this means that, well, if color is the addition of 3 layers, each one with one of the primary colors, added on top of each other, this means that to get a rainbowy, kind of very rainbow-looking texture, we can make that by making 3 versions of a texture, one that's red, one that's blue, one that's green, and all of them slightly different between each other. So hopefully this theory made sense. I'm doing my best here, but hopefully this made sense. So now let's go do that. Let's do exactly that. So if you go in here, we can double click, and we can go into styles. So I believe that we can do color overlay, right? And actually, one thing that I want to do as well is that I want to make sure that there's no transparency in this. So we're going to make a fully white layer, and we're going to Control E to combine those two layers because I want to make sure there's no transparency. So now we're going to double click and we're going to go into color overlay. Oops, color overlay, sorry. And we're going to set the blend mode to darken. You can do multiply or darken, I think doesn't make a difference. And we're going to make this pure red, 255 red, right? Now we're going to rename this to red. We're going to duplicate this 3 times and we're going to rename this one to blue. Double click it to open the layer style. And here in the color overlay, instead of being pure black, pure red, we're going to make this pure blue. And finally, we're going to make this one, the last one, pure green. Right? Very cool. So now we have 3 layers here. Red, blue, and green. And now what we can do here, you guys are going to observe, is that if we click on all of them, we can set their blend mode to, where is it? Oh, hold on. First we need to apply these, my bad. So we're going to create a new empty layer and we're going to apply, we're going to combine them. I actually believe that if we rasterize them, yes, we can just rasterize, my bad. So you can right click and rasterize the layers so they apply their layer style. And now we can select both of them and we can do linear dodge add. Linear, I believe, is that? We can also do, I guess it's linear dodge add. We'll see. If it looks weird, I'll change it. But I think it was screen actually. Let's do screen. I'm not sure now. So essentially what we're doing is the same thing we're doing here on these channels. We're adding them on top of each other. So now if we go into the green channel, we can do minimize. And when we do minimum on the green channel, you guys are going to look and see that the texture is already looking a bit funky here. So we can go really ham on it and minimize it a lot. But let's do just an edge on the green channel. And now we can go to the blue channel and let's go into the blue channel. Let's not minimize. Let's do a maximum instead of a minimum. Let's do a maximum here. And now we can increase our blue channel. Let's see here. How much do we want to add? Let's preserve the squareness on this one. So it's going to look a little bit different from the others. Yeah, let's make it really big. And finally, on the red channel, let's do a maximum as well. Let's do a maximum as well. And we're going to go here and we're going to go really ham on this one. We're going to preserve the roundness. Okay, this didn't really work all that much. Let me see here if linear dodge add. Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah, it's the same thing. Okay, so you guys can see here that this technique makes us to be able to RGB split our texture in a very artistic manner. So one thing that we can do also is, of course, we can smudge this around. We can smudge this around and we can push things. So let's do exactly that. Let's take our green channel and let's say that we want this to be more like this. Oops, too much, guys, too much. A little bit too much there. Just a tiny bit of smudging, right? Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful, I said. Beautiful. I think we went overboard on the blue, and the blue is overpowering everybody. Like, holy shit, the blue is so overpowering. Yeah, you can almost, you can't even see the yellow shades because the blue is just overpowering everybody. All right, the red channels, now we can really make them pop here. Look at this. And I know this texture, once again, guys, this is more to teach you guys the technique. I admit that this is not looking very rainbowy. It doesn't look like this, right? I mean, this is not looking like this. Let's be real here. But it's also a question of experimentation. And, you know, yeah, so this example might not have been the best to showcase, but I didn't plan anything. I was just, you know, going along as I usually do. Let's do a minimum here on this blue. I think the blue is overpowering everything, like so hard. All right, blue, it's time for you to get really weak. Ooh, I like this. This is kind of cool. Yeah, this is kind of cool. Let's go to the green and do like a minimum as well. Minimum. Oops, I made a group by mistake, sorry. So let's do a minimum. Ooh, I like this. No, I don't like this. Yes, I do like this. This is this is starting to look cool, not gonna lie. Let's go for roundness again. Yeah, this is starting to look cool. Let's do once again minimum here on the red. Ooh, me likey. I want to bring in some of the, yes, this looks very cool. This looks very cool. And also if you mess about with the levels, for instance, you can get your things, like if you want to intensify the reds, you can get them to be intensified by using the levels. In this case, I really like my blues here, but I want to intensify the greens, like the greens part. The green parts I want to be really green, but I want to like have less of it, but very concentrated. Ooh, I like this. I really, really like this. Let's see what happens if we do a minimum now here on the greens. Ooh, my lordy, but Journeys, this looks cool. All right, in the end, I managed to salvage it, guys. In the end, we managed to salvage this. This noise is looking dope. In fact, I think I'm gonna take my reds and I'm gonna try to do something very crazy here. I'm gonna try to have them very like detached from this beam, you know. I want to bring in some more of those reds outwards, so make the reds very separate from the greens and the blues. So, all right, this looks very cool. I like this. Alrighty, guys. I mean, hey, this is looking pretty dope. I like this texture. I could find a use to this. Let me tell you that much. But yeah, guys, this is how I do most of my textures. It's a lot of minimum and maximum going on. And this technique, I admit, once again, this was perhaps not the best example. I'll be the first one to admit. But to get rainbow textures, this is how I do it. I'm pretty sure you could bake these somehow and like do some shenanigans with Substance Designer, but I'm not well versed on that, so I still do these the old ways. And well, I think now it's only fair for me to talk about Fight and Fall, the game that I'm developing alongside my friend William. And yeah, so we're developing this game. We've been developing it for about 2 years now. It has top-notch VFX, top-notch programming, some questionable audio design, but we don't talk about that. And and yeah, it's very fun. It's a brawler video game. It's a top-down party game that you play with your friends. And the idea is that you use spells, and those spells not only deal damage, but they also destroy the environment. So the thing is that every arena is breakable, and well, last one standing wins. So yeah, guys, I hope you guys like the video, and I hope this video is very useful for you all. And any questions, let me know down below, and thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you later. Goodbye. Subscribe.